128 game. Man, that's a mouthful. Anyway, yeah. In fact, there was another two big name players that actually faced off in the first round here, or I guess second round, depending on
how you look at it.
Yeah.
This is the first round proper, I think.
Yeah, the first round that's got like a full bracket, I suppose. Anyway, the next match is going to be none other than iNfeRnaL versus trutaCz. That's right, TOT iNfeRnaL. Or at least I'm pretty sure he was TOT.
I think he was at one point. He could have been anything then.
Alright, but he is an old school beast here, and he unfortunately is going to be playing a very strong Zerg in trutaCz. Another Polish Zerg, in fact. South Park also a Polish Zerg. In fact, I think Pike is also a Polish Zerg. There's just a lot of really strong Polish Zergs here. Actually, that's probably just because there's a lot of strong Polish players in general.
Yeah, it does provide a little bit of a weird kind of sample. Yeah, trutaCz is definitely going to be a terrifying opponent for iNfeRnaL to meet up against, especially since I don't know how long iNfeRnaL's really been preparing for this, but trutaCz, everybody knows trutaCz is a damn good player. So iNfeRnaL's really going to have his work cut out for him already in the round of 128. But if he can get through here, then he definitely stands a good chance of going much, much further in this qualifier.
Indeed.
And the same goes for trutaCz.
And I see people mentioning in the chat, but I thought I'd mention on stream as well officially. iNfeRnaL did in fact win WCG Germany 2010, so not too long ago. And I know for a fact that he actually, when he came back recently, he joined LRM, which is one of the top tier teams in the foreign scene right now. So he's had plenty of practice, I'm sure, with the LRM players.
Yep.
And in fact, he will be facing one of them because trutaCz is on LRM, so it's actually going to be a team kill here. iNfeRnaL versus trutaCz.
Cool.
All right, so I think we are ready to go into the next game.
I certainly am.
And here we go. Alright, here we are. The round of 128, the second match. iNfeRnaL versus trutaCz. At the top left, we will have trutaCz as the red Zerg, and iNfeRnaL apparently playing under the ID question. Says he will not be angry if he loses. Not sure about that one.
That sounds like an empty promise to me.
Yeah. He's going to be the white Protoss at the bottom right, and the map once again is Fighting Spirit. It's the same round.
Hack Polian. Oh, come on, iNfeRnaL. Keep it classy. Keep it classy. I like that. The amazing smear campaign begins here. Oh god, we don't need to do this. Anyway, yeah, so iNfeRnaL clearly having some beef about the way his games went yesterday, but I can assure you any such accusations are being investigated and thoroughly squashed. So iNfeRnaL can think what he likes, but I'm pretty sure there was nothing underhand rather going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, if trutaCz wins today, then tomorrow we'll cast iNfeRnaL and he'll be like, oh yeah, I totally played against HackTouch yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how this works.
And looks like we have another 9-pool here. Man, we have been seeing a lot of 9-pools in the TLS qualifiers yesterday and today.
God.
This is very interesting, man. Okay, at least he's not getting speed, so he's not going, hardcore speedling all-in type 9-pool. But still, this is very, very interesting.
Yeah, and I can only imagine that these guys really want to kind of, at least in the round of 128 anyway, really want to just get out there and win their games. Although against a player like iNfeRnaL, I wouldn't have imagined that you'd go so quick out to the gate, and I imagine you'd have settled in for a much more standard game. But I guess against any player, you can want to clean it up early, or at least give yourself an early advantage. So this kind of does make sense. And the cross position is not really going to help trutaCz in this regard. I'm sure iNfeRnaL will be just fine. He gets the scout in nice and early as well, going for the double scout option interestingly here. So he does see what's going on. He's going to be able to react nice and accordingly, seeing the 6 lings on the way.
Indeed, indeed. And there's There's the first cannon going up now, and the second cannon going up. Alright, sweet. Damn, I had another really good point. I forgot again. Oh, just like yesterday. What the hell?
Yeah.
No, I'm getting old and senile, I'm telling you here.
I know it. I wasn't going to say anything. Yeah.
Anyway, it looks like the hatchery was blocked just for a second there until the Lings chased away this probe. So that is going to go down in good time here. I don't think trutaCz is really going to try anything because he's not going to have speed. His 9-pull was scouted. I mean, there isn't too much that you can do here. Spinal positioning is a little bit interesting, by the way. It's kind of a little bit off, but I guess if he puts his gateway flush with the forge, he can have like a 1-hex gap to walk out of, so that'll be quite nice.
Yeah.
The walls on Fighting Spirit are pretty well known, so so if you've practiced at all on this map, then you should kind of know what to do here.
It's one of these maps where it's easy enough just to make it up. To be honest, if you don't know what you're doing, even then it's relatively simple just to cobble something pretty decent together. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist.
Indeed. And it looks like this probe is still staying alive here. Going to see the gas being taken, but in the meantime, trutaCz is in fact taking a third base here at the faraway natural. Now, this might look a little risky if you're not used to watching Brood Wars EVPs, but that is in fact completely standard to actually not take. So the 12 o'clock would be the closer third, but he's actually chosen to take another natural. The reason for this is he can build a nice sim city here, defend this base, and then he basically gets the main base here, his fourth base, for free. So he doesn't need to worry about defending that later on. So it's kind of a longer term game plan. Oh! I remember what I wanted to say just now.
Thank God.
I wanted to say that we're pronouncing his name trutaCz, but if you look at the overlay, you might be like, Sale, that says trutaCz. Why are you saying trutaCz? Well, apparently in Polish, that says trutaCz. That's the reason. I don't know. I mean, yeah, basically, I started pronouncing it trutaCz, and then I was told that it's actually trutaCz, so that's what I'm going with.
I think I've actually seen it spelled trutaCz by him at some. I don't know quite. I think I have though. But yeah. Anyway.
Oh,
yeah.
So is he actually just trolling us? Does he actually like spell it properly himself? But then when he's like gonna have casted games, he spells it trutaCz just to see if it'll mess us up.
That wouldn't shock me at all. Oh, interesting. We already have the +1 ground weapons coming from iNfeRnaL before his Cybernetic score even done, so I can only imagine this is going to be a speed timing attack right now. But the disadvantage about doing this thing is there's no real way to prevent the Zerg player from seeing this. So I hope iNfeRnaL has his game plan well worked out, because there's no way trutaCz is going to have missed that.
Indeed. Looks like the pylon going down to the front just to help wall this off more. No second gas, everything pointing. Well, it was pointing to what you were saying, but the Stargate is making me a little bit confused. So I'm just going to talk about what the Zerg's doing. He's building a fourth hatchery, and his lair is about to pop. Probably expect to see a fifth hatchery at his third base here, probably around here, so he can start building some sunkens in the back there. Looks like Probe Guy is going to walk around and see that there's really nothing out of the ordinary in the Zerg base. The Spire just now starting. Might be quite nice. I'm not sure if he actually caught exactly when that Spire went down. If he did, then he'll basically know exactly the Zerg's timings here. He'll know exactly when he wants to make his own buildings.
Yeah. I mean, how did that scout even get out? I mean, I'm not quite sure how it made it. Has it been out on the map for quite a while?
I'm not really sure
Link speed
either.
here, and we've got Lings positioned everywhere, so unless trutaCz is being really lax, I'm not quite sure how that would have got out. But it does get a full scout, sees nothing out of the ordinary, which is, of course, valuable scouting information in itself. We now have 4 Zealots waiting for front of iNfeRnaL's base and a 5th one on the way, so it looks like he's going just for kind of a slightly oddly weighted Zealot timing attack. He's not going very all in on it. He's going to be producing off only 2 gateways, at least for quite a while. Interestingly enough, though, still no Zealot leg speed, so that's going to kick in a little bit late in relation to his +1 ground weapons. And he doesn't seem to be saving up any minerals for that purpose, which is quite interesting. So it's going to be a little bit of a delayed push when it does in fact arrive.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Normally, if you go for a speed lot timing, you want to start your leg speed when the +1 is about halfway done, and then they'll finish roughly the same time here. But as you say, he started it quite late, so I don't know if that's just a mistake, like an oversight or something, or if maybe he just wanted to get really fast upgrades or something. I'm not really sure. But the thing is, he won't be able to get +2 until his archives finishes anyway, and he's not making it now. So yeah, I'm a little bit confused by this build here. But in the meantime, his Corsair scouting around is going to see the standard kind of SimCity here at the Zerg's third. This is what I was talking about earlier. The Zerg can build a nice defensive wall here, and then expand up here later on to get his 4th base, crucially his 4th gas going into the late game. Looks like, ooh, the Corsair barely missed a handful of Scourge here. Actually made 6 Scourge. I don't think you need
a lot.
6 at this point, yeah.
I wonder why.
It could have been a misclick.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure though. iNfeRnaL has made actually 3 Corsairs, so 6 would oddly enough be the ideal number. Okay, he's actually made he's made 8 Scourge. I don't know quite what he thinks is going to happen.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so if that's on purpose, then maybe he read something from the build that made him suspect like mass +1 Corsairs, and he would actually be right because there are
it's not a bad shout.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like accidentally making Scourge is fairly easy when you Zerg because of course the hotkey for selecting Larva is S, and then the hotkey for Zerg is also S. So if you accidentally hit S too many times, or you're spamming all your hatcheries and trying to make units, oftentimes you can end up with a bunch of extra Scourge that you don't actually need.
Yeah.
Looks like Speedlots are moving in. They do have +1 now, but that's a very good SimCity. The drones are going to come off to block as well, and I don't really think this is going to go too far here. It looks like a lot of the Zealots are attacking the Hydros again. That's not going to go down here to these Zealots. Looks like now they're going to start attacking the drones. So there's like only, well, you got 3 drones there, but didn't really do too much and sacrificed a good number of Zealots.
Yeah, and as we can see in these situations, it's all about the SimCity. If your SimCity is good, you really can defend with the bare minimum. Right there, he was defending with drones, a couple of sunk colonies, and a few lings. Whereas without a decent SimCity, those Zealots would have been all over him. If he were able to just run straight through the gap between the 2 hatcheries, he'd been able to get right in on those sunkers, and it would have been pretty much game over straight away. Or at least it would have been severely damaging. So the SimCity makes all the difference in these situations. The trutaCz is able to defend quite comfortably, losing only a couple of drones right there. And so iNfeRnaL, it looks like he's going to try and take quite an early 3rd base. Now this is interesting. I don't know if he's got the force to really defend that. And I think trutaCz, predicting this, is heading straight down to the 6th clock, although now diverting units up to the top right hand corner where he has no overlords, and 2 DTs are heading towards his base, so he needs to get some overlords in the right way. It looks like he is morphing one in, but that's of course going to be quite quickly taken down by these Corsairs, and DT is going to be able to start doing some damage.
Oh man, and the overlord morphs, the Sunkens can attack it. Will they get into the 4th? No, both of them do actually survive, so they're actually going to deny this 4th base. Is there Overlord speed? No Overlord speed actually finished yet. Let me quickly check the layer here. Oh my god, that's actually just started. So that 4th base is not going to be available for quite a while there. And more importantly, I think, than this harassment is the fact that this is allowing him to establish his 3rd base here, because there was actually a Zergling here that was killed, and that's why trutaCz actually knew that the 3rd base was going up. I hope this pylon doesn't block the Nexus, by the way. Oh, it does block the Nexus! Just as I say it, he kills his own pylon. I was looking, I'm like, that looks really low there for that pylon. Oh man, of course in the long run that doesn't really matter too much, but it is of course always funny when that kind of thing happens, especially in a streamed game.
I don't think 2 cannons is going to be enough though. If that 3rd one warps in on time, but it's not going to. So those 2 cannons are going to go down pretty quickly to these Hydras. iNfeRnaL will have the power, I think, just about to flush his Hydras out of his 3rd, although there are more Hydras coming in from the back. From trutaCz natural, excuse me. So I think he's going to have an interesting time holding on to this trutaCz size. He really wants to take it, but as long as he can regain that ramp, he should be all right. And I believe Storm will already be done, laying down a nice Storm, catching a fair few Hydras, and he's definitely going to be able to push trutaCz back. So this is actually going fairly successfully for iNfeRnaL. He's getting a 3rd base up. He's managed to deny trutaCz's 4th, and so he's going to go equal on bases as long as he can hold his front door, which is looking a little bit ropey. But with his Storm and Zealots getting back there, he should be just fine.
Yeah, Storm is basically like the ultimate defensive tool here. Even if there's only a couple of cannons and 1 High Templar, as long as you get really good Storms off, you're generally going to be okay against just pure Hydralist, unless there's just a stupid amount of them. And yeah, this is very, very interesting because, you know, the whole point of getting this this further away 3rd is so that your 4th is easy to take, but in this case it's completely the opposite. The 4th is proving to be really annoying to take for trutaCz, which is really kind of throwing his game plans off here. And I love how iNfeRnaL's actually hidden another Dark Templar. He left 1 to block the hatchery, and he hid another one in the corner, but unfortunately for him, trutaCz was a little bit too smart for that. Is gonna see it? Yep, there he is. So just gonna snipe that DT, not gonna let it come back and kill some more drones later on.
Yeah, and nice. trutaCz mixing up, I think.
Oh, hold that thought, Storm! Oh, he almost don't get the
I absolutely thought he was going to storm a whole stack of his own probes there. It looks like he's doing a pretty nice job of fending off these Hydras. Oh, another nice storm taking down a lot of Hydras, and trutaCz throws away a lot of units. Meanwhile, doing a double-pronged attack, trying to go into iNfeRnaL's third as well, but iNfeRnaL with a High Templar there and a bunch of cannons as well, easily going to be able to defend that off. And now he should have the power to actually push out and do something. I think he's got maybe a couple too many High Templar. I could probably do with two of those being an Archon instead. And there are still a fair number of Hydras knocking around easily enough to do a couple of High Templar snipes. But this is looking nice for iNfeRnaL. He is able to hold his third and at the same time do significant damage to trutaCz's army. So trutaCz is going to be significantly delayed before he can move on up the tech tree at least.
Yeah, when we do have some lurkers morphing at the natural. One quick point I wanted to make earlier was that since we have a lot of SE2 viewers, I wanted to explain a little interesting Brood War mechanic, which is that when Dark Templars, or when any unit one-shots another unit, you don't get a warning sound that says your units are under attack. So basically, if a DT runs into your drone line and starts killing drones, a DT will one-shot drones. So basically, you don't get any indication from the game that your workers are dying. You have to actually click to the mineral line and see that they're dying, or hear the Dark Templar to actually know that that's happening. So if trutaCzz hadn't actually caught that hidden DT at the bottom right corner of the top right there, it could have done a ton of damage later on.
Yeah, he could. What baffles me at the moment is I'm not seeing an observer with iNfeRnaL's army. He's being incredibly slow on his observer tech. A lurker's already in. I'm not quite sure why he hasn't got at least a robotics facility already. I mean, he's going to wander straight into a lurk field right now, and he's going to be rudely reminded that he does not have observer tech. Oh, some beautiful storms going down over a bunch of Hydras and a lurker here as well. So he's doing some decent damage to the army he's facing, even without detection. But I'm very, very surprised he doesn't have that necessary tech up and running yet, and I still don't see it started. Oh, okay, there we do have an observatory coming in, so he must have a robo somewhere. Okay, there you go. In his natural, he does have a robotics facility. Excuse me, not giving iNfeRnaL quite enough credit there, but still, I think he's looking a tad bit later on this than he should be. You need to have your observers pretty much coinciding with that lurker time in order to make the most of your position. And we right now have trutaCzz making the most of his position and taking up the 12 o'clock base as well while he can.
Indeed, indeed. So it looks like we are going to go into a nice long game here. I do love long PVZs. I think it's the late game. There's so many cool spells and abilities that you can use. I mean, I think PVZ, probably of all the matchups, it allows basically virtually all units have a purpose once you go to the super late game. Like even units like Queens and Dark Archons, which normally don't see much use in regular gameplay, all actually become quite useful in super late game PVZ. So hopefully we get to see some of that. But either way, I'm quite excited about this.
Yeah, I think iNfeRnaL is in a position now where he's going to have to be the playmaker. He's going to have to be the one to make something happen, because trutaCzz, while it hasn't gone perfectly according to plan for him, he's managed to maintain a decent position. He's managed to get his fourth up, albeit a little late, and he's managed to get his fifth up as well. So now it's pretty much on iNfeRnaL to do something and make something happen. Losing a Corsair quite cheaply over his natural, he needs to keep his Corsairs a little bit more together if he's going to not lose too many of them to stray Scourge. We do have a shuttle harass coming into the top right with 4 DTs in it, and that's quite a formidable force, even if there is a sunken colony up there. Fair number of Hydras going up should be able to deal with that. However, that does leave the Hydra force significantly weakened in the middle of the map, although with those Corsairs chasing that Overlord down, these DTs might be undetectable in just a second. Where is the DT? Okay, there is another Overlord coming in from the bottom of the base, but once again taken down by the Corsairs, and he's going to need another Overlord there if he's going to be able to flush these guys out. The shuttle is going to go down, but those DTs meanwhile are going to start hacking away at the hatchery, and those Corsairs continuing to wreak havoc. He is going to lose pretty much his entire Corsair fleet though, and that's an expensive mistake from iNfeRnaL. He would want to keep those alive for as long as possible. He may, however, be able to take out that top right hand corner main base, so it's not all doom and gloom for him, and meanwhile deciding to mobilize his main army as well, and might be able to get a decent engagement off on this lurker field, but running straight into it, maybe losing a few outs unnecessarily there. But if he can use his storm well, he can take out a lot of lurkers right now.
Man, really funny moves there at the top right by those DTs. He was actually targeting the eggs that were making Overlords there and killing them before the Overlords could pop, so that's actually quite a cool move. Eggs actually have a very high armor value, but because DTs have such high damage on their attacks as well, it doesn't really actually matter. They still do like 30 damage to morphing eggs there. But oh man, attacking his lurker fields actually cost him basically all of his Zealots and High Templar there. Only the Dragoons remaining. But Dragoons still are quite scary because there's a lot of them here. A couple of Zealots still buffering the front. One High Templar at the back at full energy here. Looks like he's actually forgotten to get the energy upgrade there for his High Templar. But still, it's got 2 storms on it. Another one coming in here. A big storm on the Zerglings here. He might want to storm. Yeah, he does storm the Hydras, but I think this defense is just a bit too formidable here. The Sunken Lurker Spore defense, the nigh impenetrable defense of the Zerg here, at least until you get some Reavers or something here to slowly break it down. But this is just a really tough kind of setup for Protoss to deal with.
Yeah, very, very tough. I mean, iNfeRnaL seems to be throwing away drips and drabs of the units right here. He needs to either reinforce or he needs to retreat and recollect himself because he's going to have to be a lot more careful to get in there. I don't think he's got the numbers to get in and then make a good go of it as well. trutaCz just turtled up like crazy here. You can see he's still... Okay, I thought he was short on drones, but he just transferred them away for some reason. But iNfeRnaL is going to keep this going. Managing to take out 2 lurkers simultaneously right there. He may be able to make some headway, but I think he's going to get pretty badly sandwiched if he continues this attack. He needs more units. He does have reinforcements coming from the back, but it's pretty much pure Dragoons. He needs more Zealots in here if he's going to be able to deal with the next wave and the wave after that as well of Zerglings. They're just going to keep on coming.
Indeed they are. By the way, while this is going on, trutaCz actually sent a small group of Zerglings down to check the bottom left, thinking that iNfeRnaL might have expanded it, but there's actually nothing there. And in the meantime, looks like the Protoss army just gets completely wrecked here, trying to bust this defense. I'm really not sure whether that was a good idea to actually commit to that here. I mean, usually when I see second scored lurker, I'm just like, all right, you really don't want to lose that base. All right, I get it. I'll just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But you know, having said that, iNfeRnaL has used all that pressure to actually expand and take a fourth, and he's actually building a robo here, so he's basically going to build a couple of Reavers. Basically, you know, the Protoss equivalent of that unbreakable defense here is just a bunch of photon cannons and a couple of Reavers and/or High Templars there, and it's very, very difficult, especially with these narrow ramps. It's almost impossible for Zerg to actually break that.
Yeah, it really would be. Just in the same way, it was almost impossible for iNfeRnaL. Well, I say almost impossible. He did almost get through to that top right-hand corner base, but he needs to do it with enough units to actually keep the push momentum going once you're in there, because otherwise we'll see what just happened, and that is the force getting ultimately mopped up, and it being quite costly for the Protoss, probably more costly than it is for Zerg actually, because he lost his entire army, and even then his reinforcements were coming in, they were getting picked off at the same time, so it just got a little bit unpleasant for iNfeRnaL the longer that went on, and I think you're right in what you said earlier. He probably shouldn't have been so keen to engage her right there, and he should have pulled back a little bit. And iNfeRnaL now looking like he wants to take bottom left as well, and this probably means he's going to have to commit to an even longer game than he was planning. And I'm curious to see what he pulls out to actually try and seize the initiative back. We could see... I was about to suggest Arbiters, but on Fighting Spirit, I don't know how effective that would really be.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's okay with just continuing this kind of regular composition. He is adding some Reavers here and there. I would like to see some more Archons, though, because once you go to the late game, if the Zerg goes to Ultra Lane, you absolutely need Archons to deal with that. One thing I've been wondering, though, is why he hasn't even checked the 12 o'clock, because that's been essentially undefended. I mean, now there's a single Sunken Colony there, but, you know, if instead of running into that awesome defense at the top right, he just gone to kill that, that would have been a lot more effective.
Yeah, that's even a job for a strike force of Zealots.
Exactly. Just, you know, send in a control group of Zealots. At this point, you know, the minerals, they don't actually matter as much. It's really the gas units that you're concerned about. For both Protoss and Zerg, in fact. So the Protoss wants the High Templar, the Archons, the Reavers, all very gas-heavy units. And similar for the Zerg, you know, he wants Lurkers, Ultralisks, Defilers, all that good jazz, also very gas-heavy. Ooh, I like this little pylon wall here. You can see the Lurkers actually bugging out. They're trying to run up this ramp here, but they can't get up there because of that wall. Very, very nice move there. A lot of players will just kind of build cannons around their Nexus, but then the units can kind of just manually run up and get a better surface area. But with these pylons here, it's actually surprisingly annoying and obnoxious.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any good reason not to do that against Zerg, because I guess there's not so much risk of drops and things like that, at least not at the moment. We do have a bunch of Zerglings going to the bottom left-hand corner, and again, they're going to be able to deny that expansion, which is very, very important. And of course, moving down the right-hand side of the map as well. I don't know if that's a good idea from trutaCz. He's going to come up against quite a hefty army right here from iNfeRnaL, and stands to lose a lot of Lurkers and Lings. I think this was a very bad engagement for him. I don't know quite why he would move such a small force out when he knows that iNfeRnaL has a big army out and about on the map. iNfeRnaL's observer a little bit late to the party there, but eventually getting there on time, and the Lurkers are still trickling away for trutaCz, but crucially iNfeRnaL not managing to get his bottom left hand corner base up again just yet.
You know, it's interesting because he's actually distance mining from the bottom left natural. Now, normally you might think this is very, very strange. I mean, the probes have to go quite a long way there. But if you think about it, he has essentially 3 bases worth of probes. He's got 4 bases worth of probes, but only 2 bases that have minerals at them. So those extra 2 bases worth of probes, I mean, there's not much point actually putting them on those, on like the 3 o'clock and the 6 o'clock, because they won't actually mine that much faster. You know, the minerals are already saturated. So you might as well just have them distance mine, and you know, even though it's not very much, you do actually get a slight increase in your income. So So I don't mind this move very much, although it does look kind of wonky. And he is keeping his army in this general area to kind of defend those pros as well, so it's not like he's just sending him around willy-nilly. But it looks like some Defiles coming into Plague. Not the best Plague there initially. I'm surprised there wasn't a second Plague, actually. Looks like the Defiler was just short a little bit of energy. There's a third Defiler here. Again, just short about 10 energy there, short of a Plague. So it could have been quite devastating to the Protoss, but turns out to not be too much. Although here come the Ultras.
Yeah, the Ultras is where it starts to get scary. I think iNfeRnaL's composition is okay, not incredible. He could do with at least 1 or 2 Reavers in that army. Against all these Zerglings, though, if he can land some good Psystorms, he's going to take a lot of those units out very, very quickly. If he can do that before Plagues go down, Plague goes down on a lot of the Dragoons. But look at the Zergling death right there. This has been a very ineffectual engagement for trutaCz. He's managed to lay down 1 decent Plague, but that's it. He's killed relatively little else. His Defilers are all going to go down. His Hydras, Lings, and his, was that a single Ultralist as well, going to go down. Might be able to take down the bottom left-hand base, but I think iNfeRnaL's cannons are just about going to be in time. That seems like a bit of a wasted engagement for trutaCz, but if iNfeRnaL doesn't scout that left-hand base also, then that's soon going to be very, very heavily defended, and trutaCz, despite an unfavorable engagement, is going to have gained a little bit more map position, and it's going to be that much harder for iNfeRnaL to actually defeat him in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree that the 9 o'clock base is, I mean, if he just sent something over there, he could see that he could easily kill it with this army. Well, actually, maybe not easily. This actually, just as I say that, like, a whole bunch of Ultralisks spawn. But the thing is, even if trutaCz holds that base, it's okay, because this 9 o'clock base should, or sorry, the 3 o'clock base, rather, should in theory be the Zergs. I mean, if you just look at how the map is kind of laid out. So the fact that iNfeRnaL's taken that means that if iNfeRnaL now gets the bottom 2 left bases, the map will be split exactly 50-50, base-wise. Yep. And that favors the Protoss in the long run, because the Protoss is the more cost-efficient race compared to the Zerg. And so usually you say, you know, Zerg needs to be 1 base ahead of the Protoss, but obviously once you split the map, that can't be the case. But hold that thought, looks like we have another engagement here. Nicely placed Dark Swarm there, a huge Plague on the Dragoons as well, and looks like, oh my god, so many Ultras coming in from the back, and even though iNfeRnaL had a good engagement earlier on, he doesn't really have the force to deal with all these Ultras. He's only got 3 Archons here. You know, what you need to deal with Ultras are really Archons, Reavers, and potentially Dark Templars as well, if you can actually kill all these Overlords. And oh my god, he's got a Reaver popping out from here, but there's just so many Ultras here. I'm not sure if he can deal with this. There's not enough cannons or anything, and even if there were enough cannons, there's Dark Swarms there protecting the Ultralisks from the cannon fire. I think this Nexus is going to go down for sure. A few Lings just stalling here. I mean, he can just, you know, kill off this Nexus, kill a bunch of probes, and even if he loses these Ultras, it will be a big investment, but he's going to be killing a lot of stuff here. I think, I don't know, would it be a good idea to target the Nexus? I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, I think absolutely it would. Units. I don't know. I think iNfeRnaL needs that Nexus, and I think trutaCz should know this, because trutaCz isn't even reinforcing this. Okay, it looks like he's going to reinforce with some Zerglings, but all these expensive Ultras go down, and the Nexus does survive. I think iNfeRnaL lost a lot of his probes there, but it doesn't matter. He's got a huge reserve of probes, so that's not a problem. Did lose 2 Reavers, which is quite an expensive problem for him, because he needs those just to hold on to things underneath the Dark Swarm. And once again, trutaCz coming out with another huge army. He's got lots of Lings and Ultras just ready to come down, crashing upon iNfeRnaL's head. Once again, iNfeRnaL's going to have to do something pretty special to hold this off without too much Reaver support. He is building more Reavers at the bottom left-hand corner base, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough, and he's looking very, very poor at this stage. As another attack comes in, he needs some Great Storms in order to hold on to this. 1 good Storm to start this off. He's going to need a second one as well. Another Great Storm takes out so many of the Lings to start off, and it looks like he is probably just going to be able to take this battle through effective micro. But once again, more reinforcements coming in right here for trutaCz, and he's just going to keep pounding away at this, but iNfeRnaL forces back off as reinforcement Dragoons come in. So another favorable engagement for iNfeRnaL, but again, I don't think he's using these favorable engagements to his advantage. He's let that left-hand side base go up pretty much directly under his nose. If he hadn't have done that, then trutaCz's position would be nowhere near as strong right now, but he has let it go up, and so trutaCz is still pretty free with his resources.
I gotta say though, I am very impressed by iNfeRnaL's play here. I mean, trutaCz is a top tier Zerg here. You know, possibly one of the favorites to win this qualifier and go deep in the actual tournament. So the fact that iNfeRnaL's holding his own is very impressive. Of course, he is an old school Gosu, but I wasn't actually sure, you know, what kind of form he was in going into these qualifiers, and I guess now I know if he's playing on this level. It's very impressive. He's got a ton of gateways in his main base, just pumping out of these. I mean, I guess it's like 2.5 bases really now that the 6 o'clock is getting mined out. But this bottom left main is free for the taking. It's just a single Zergling blocking there. But now that he's setting up all these cannons here, he's actually building a second Robo here, just going to pump out those Reavers double time at this base. And once he's got, you know, 3 or 4 Reavers here with all these cannons blocking, it's going to be very difficult for the Zerg to actually break that. Even if the Zerg has Dark Swarm to make the cannons ineffective, the Reavers still do full damage under Swarm, and the cannons mainly act as just like a meat shield, a buffer for the Reavers. The Reavers are really your heavy hitters here. And he's got 3 Reavers with his army now as well.
Yeah, but he needs the engagement position to make those Reavers useful, otherwise they'll get picked off very, very early on. But that is so many Ultras. Oh my good god, trutaCz has been a busy man. But those 3 Reavers going to do super high damage. I still don't know it's quite going to be enough for iNfeRnaL. He does manage to get a decent engagement position, and trutaCz's army getting a little bit split at the end there. I think iNfeRnaL might just be able to hold on here, even during this ridiculous battle. There were so many Ultras coming in, but somehow the Reavers save the day. Reavers are just that good, guys. Let it not be forgotten. And trutaCz's reinforcement is going to come in and be easily turned away. And iNfeRnaL looking so damn good in the engagements, but just not good enough in his scouting. The middle base is going to go to trutaCz as well, unless iNfeRnaL can get out there and stop it. He just needs to be a bit more active, otherwise he's going to lose this game despite so much good play, and that would be very, very unfortunate for him.
Oh man, that was such a crazy engagement there. I mean, I thought trutaCz did a decent job there. He got a decent surface area on the top, but those Reavers are just perfectly positioned, letting all the other units be their meat shield. And man, just doing ridiculous damage. I actually want to click on a Reaver to see if he's gotten the damage upgrade for them. Of course, Reavers, I think, start with 100 damage, but you can upgrade it to 125. Yes, it looks like they do have the damage upgrade. So these guys are doing 125 damage with splash per shot here. That is a ton of damage there.
Yeah, it's huge.
Looks like we have another attack here, but oh, it looks like trutaCz is going to pull back this time. I don't see any defilers. I think it's probably why he's pulled back here. And that was, I think, the problem in that previous engagement as well. The Dark Swarms weren't really that great. They came a little bit late. They weren't in the best positions, but looks like he's thinking about... Oh, he might do a drop here into the bottom left or something. He's at... Wait, he's taking the bottom left? There's a probe going to the bottom left. He's like, hum-de-dum, let me go build a Nexus. Wait, hatchery? Oh man,
yeah,
that is pretty ballsy.
That is happening. I don't know if he's spotted the middle base yet either. trutaCz is just taking every base because he knows that iNfeRnaL isn't being quite on the ball with that. Oh my god, there are 4 Reavers in the middle of the map. That is just crazy. And this is the kind of iNfeRnaL showing us the essence of having a really concentrated, purpose-built army and how many units that can defeat and how cost-effective you can really be, and that could be what saves him in this match. trutaCz still with a massive army down that left-hand side though, and plenty of defilers in his composition too. The Reavers all drop down, but they might get plagued. Oh!
Yeah, plague!
Huge plague going down on top of all the Reavers, but the Reavers responding in kind by blowing up 4 defilers at once. Look at that mess. What an epic engagement. What an epic set of engagements. And both players just pulling back a little bit. It looks like once again the engagement pretty much goes to iNfeRnaL. Just building mass cannons at the bottom left-hand corner to deal with that hatchery, that's going up, and he will be able to deal with it. But absolutely crazy that he's allowed that to happen. Once again, another big engagement. Oh, dropping the Reavers right at the front of the line. I'm not sure that's a good idea. iNfeRnaL needs to keep those Reavers alive, and they are, of course, plagued, so very, very, very weak. Losing 3 or 4 Reavers right there. With only 2 remaining, his army is going to be significantly weaker, and this might be trutaCz's opportunity to bust right in here and finally get rid of his opponent's army. But I think, once again, iNfeRnaL is just about going to manage to hold. Will he lose another Reaver? No, he will not, and he'll be able to defend off the Zerg's army once again, maybe with 1 or 2 good storms to seal the deal. Yeah, he's going to do it like that, but we could see a huge plate go down. Ooh, just managing to take the Defiler out before it's able to do anything. And a couple of ragtag Ultralists going to come in and lay down their lives for the Swarm. Not that it does much good.
And actually, if you look at the economy situation here, iNfeRnaL's mined out the 3 and the 6, so he's mining on 1 base right now. He's just managed to clear the bottom left with the 30-minute cannon rush timing attack. But I mean, he hasn't taken that base yet, so his income is actually very low. He's actually down to 95 minerals here, 100 minerals at 150 supply. trutaCz at about even supply here, and crucially killed a bunch of Reavers, but there's still 5 Reavers here. I think some reinforcements actually came from these double robos at the bottom left. So iNfeRnaL's still rocking the Reavers, but he doesn't have any buffering units though to tank the damage, losing 1 Reaver immediately, and I think he's just gonna have to retreat behind his cannon line here. A bunch of probes transferring through the engagement there, managed to actually mostly survive. But I mean, trutaCz now has complete map control. You know, he's mining away happily from that 9 o'clock base. He's got the middle base now. He can start sending some drones there. There's actually 2 geysers here, so it's going to give him a lot of gas to use. And actually, you know, he's got a bit more income here because, you know, the Zerg, they generally have a lower worker saturation at all their bases compared to the other races, so they actually don't mine out as quickly. So trutaCz right now, he's actually still mining off of 3 bases compared to the Protoss' 1, which is a really rough spot for iNfeRnaL. I mean, he's been doing so well with all those Reavers and all those engagements. So right now, it's 170 supply for trutaCz against just 140 for iNfeRnaL, but really it should be the opposite here. And ooh, looks like a few probes getting caught in the middle of the map.
This is so avoidable, but I think iNfeRnaL's grip on this game is starting to weaken. We can see the supply being a major factor right now. And of course, he's just going to have such a hard time getting out of this position now with lurkers back into the mix as well. He runs the risk of getting quite badly contained.
Overlord's elegant. Overlords.
Oh my god, that is a huge drop. We're about to see so many units get dumped somewhere where iNfeRnaL definitely does not want them. And I can only imagine this is going to go into the bottom left.
Oh man, huge drop incoming here, and iNfeRnaL desperately needs his base. I mean, this bottom left natural is about halfway mined out here, so if he loses this fresh base, he's going to be mined out very, very quickly. It's coming in here. Where's the army? He's only got a handful of Reavers. He was relying on that awesome defense there of the cannons and Reavers. He's dropped a few Reavers here with these cannons, but so many Overlords, they're all coming down here. Scourge coming in as well for some reason. There's no air here. I guess he can snipe the shuttles, but whatever the case may be, more shuttles coming in. Oh, he wants to snipe them before the Reavers can drop. He does kill a few of the shuttles. I think 2 of the Reavers do get out though, but there's still a few units here. The Nexus immediately gets sniped by these 3-3 cracklings going down in seconds. I didn't even see it getting attacked. The Probes now fighting against Ultras because that's how desperate this situation is, but Probes have no hope against the Ultras. By the way, the upgrades of iNfeRnaL are a little bit lacking. The Zerg's been maxed upgrades for quite a while now, but the Pronos is at 3-2-1 upgrades. I think that's actually what's been hurting him a lot in these later on engagements. He was keeping pace in the upgrades for a little while there, but then just forgot to max out on his armor and shields, and now I think he's paid the price for it. More Zerglings coming in here, but Zergling's not going to do so well against this defense with 2 Reavers there. The Zergling blood covering the floor here, but a double-pronged attack here, attacking from the back with the rest of the units from that job. It looks like iNfeRnaL might barely hold. No! More Ultras coming in here, but the pylon wall is preventing them from actually moving in here. They're just bugging out, headbutting the pylons. They can't figure out how to get in, but I think this might be the last stand of iNfeRnaL. The Probes are stopping mining. They're going to fight a bunch of Archons actually coming out from iNfeRnaL's base. I don't know what these were doing before, but they needed to be here, 3 minutes ago. I think it's too late. Yeah. I think the base is going to go down, even if the Archons can clean this up.
This is very unfortunate for iNfeRnaL and a very, very avoidable loss, but he is buckling under the extreme Zerg pressure. And while he's done so many things right, he hasn't done quite enough to take down an opponent of trutaCz caliber. And yeah, I just don't think he's got the power to deal with this. He has only a handful of Archons on high tempo left, and as the reinforcements come in for trutaCz, they're going to be able to take out the remnants of these forces. iNfeRnaL just having to back off and kind of kite these units around and storm his way back home, but it's not going to get him too far. GG! Well played.
trutaCz taking down iNfeRnaL, a 34-minute game. Oh my god, what a game that was.
Yeah.
Damn.
Indeed. iNfeRnaL showing that he is doing a great job of blowing the cobwebs off his skill, but still not quite enough to deal with trutaCz. And yeah, trutaCz is going to take that game. Was that also in the round of 128? Remind me.
Exactly. I mean,
yeah.
I'm very glad though that best of one can still produce such awesome games. Like, it's not just people trying to cheese each other out and get free wins.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Man, all right.
That was some seriously good stuff. I think iNfeRnaL at so many points had the option to just kind of do a bit better with his scouting. He was good for so much of the game, and he did a great job of delaying the Zerg's fourth and did so much right. And I think against a lesser opponent, we would definitely be seeing him go into the next round of this qualifier, but regrettably for him, it was not enough against trutaCz. But so many encouraging signs from him right there to take on to the next qualifier.
Indeed. And I have our next